Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Okay, so let's get started. I don't know why I just started babbling about that. Ooh, beautiful. On the bottom of the deck is the Knight of Cups. So this is a change in emotion. So this is underlying the reading this week. Something's going to shift in the feelings department. This can be due to many different things. It can be due to a message we receive, a situation changing, meeting someone new, having a change in the workplace, like maybe someone leaves that caused a lot of stress for you for whatever reason, and sort of takes the pressure off the situation. But being at the bottom of the deck, it could just mean like that's what we want to happen. We want some sort of shift for the to relieve some sort of or change some sort of on an emotional level. This Knight, he's right in the water, so our emotions will probably be a little heightened this week. And that's something that's not good or bad. It's just something to be mindful of, that we may be viewing the world on a more through a more emotional lens this week. Okay, so the focus is the Page of Swords. So this is communication and messages sort of times two. The pages are often about new beginnings and messages, and then the Swords card is the suit of thought and communication. So this is lots of communication, and it could be about something you're emotionally invested in and you emotionally care about. So again, this is not good or bad. It's just something to consider, that when you need to communicate something that's emotional, it's very tricky to try to do it in such a way that your emotions don't cloud the message that you need to convey. So as my friend Deb counseled me on, and it was extremely good advice and helped me when I had to be in a situation like this, and I'm going to be in a situation like this probably this coming week. Just the facts, ma'am. So it's like a way to convey something emotional, but making sure you do it in the context that it doesn't look like you're being a drama queen or anything. So have a trusted friend you can practice on, write it down. And yes, it may feel like you're scripting it, but that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with being prepared and gathering your thoughts so that you can present it in the best light to convey what you need to convey without letting emotions cloud it. And crossing it is the Two of Wands. So wands are all about passion, energy, motivation, where we are taking action. So there's a little bit of a decision we have, and even a meeting of the minds. So I see this as the conversation that we were just talking about with a Page of Swords, that some of us are going to have this conversation this week. Now, you can look at this two ways. It can be, depending on how you approach it, it can be confrontational, or it can be a meeting of the minds and sharing of information. So again, being thoughtful about how you're going to communicate and making sure it comes across. And this, I have to be careful. I can come across as very confrontational because I'm a fire sign, so I'm very passionate, and that's where that emotion can translate, where your message can get lost. And this is one of my biggest struggles in life, is to be able to convey without the message getting lost because of how I come across. And I know this is an issue for me, especially in the workplace. So making a choice about how you're going to express something you're passionate about, and what the intention is going into some sort of a meeting. So coming out of the past, what was in focus was this Four of Swords. So maybe there was a situation that there may have been an impasse, or where you just needed to step back from it. You needed to step away from it, take some time to just meditate, gather your thoughts, and regroup. So I do see that this time is passing, but it's so good to, when you do have downtime, not to think, oh, I need to cram this full of things to do because I have downtime. And I always say I have all these things to do, but I never have time. So I have to do it when I have downtime. Make sure you use your downtime to recharge and not feel like you have to that didn't come out right. Pack it full of busyness. So if you still have some downtime, really use it to reflect and be thoughtful and get clear what your motives are, what your intention is, what your end goal is, and how to best proceed to put you in the most beneficial position. This also can be not so much that you have to communicate something that may be emotion that you emotionally care about. It could just be having to make a decision. So some of you may be getting a work offer, and it may be one that's not quite so clear cut. For example, it may require longer hours, different hours. Maybe you'd have to move where your office is. So you have to make a decision and potentially even negotiate that with these cards. What's crowning you, and it's what you want most. And this is my card, if you watch this channel, of boundaries. So you can see this guy has no clue that it's a card of selfishness, really. I mean, if you're only thinking of your boundaries and yourself and your things, you're not very aware and not, I mean, can't he see that this person's just like, oh my God, just, shut up. But he's just going on and on because he's just so focused on himself. So the lesson here for her is to create some boundaries and to speak up. But again, going back to what we were talking about, how to speak up to be most effective. So all of a sudden going, oh my God, shut the bleep up. All you do is talk about yourself. How can you not get it? That's not going to be effective as probably satisfying as that would be, might not be the most effective. So how do you, and putting boundaries up with people like this is really difficult. And no matter how carefully you approach a situation, they may not react well. And that's on them. As long as you've approached it and you feel good about it and you presented it in the best way possible. It won't be perfect because no one's perfect, but in the best way possible, and you're very thoughtful of it. How other people react is their business and their issues. They're in control of their behavior, their reactions. So just concentrate on, regardless of the reaction you get, that you handled it in a responsible way. You stood up for yourself and you were really thoughtful about your motivation and your intentions. And, you sort of need to leave it at that. So coming up, we had an extra card fall out. We have the King of Cups. So here's this emotions again. What this card is saying to me is that whatever the situation we need to deal with, and remember, this could be a small thing or a big thing. I mean, this could be a really small thing. It could be that your coworker always I don't know, leaves food in the sink or something, and you always clean up after, and you have to, and it is frustrating because you feel taken, whatever. It could be something more trivial like that, but that could get depending on the person, if they're that inconsiderate, you could get a negative reaction. Um, or it could be something much bigger. But whatever it is, the way you're going to approach it this week is going to bring such a you're going to gain so much confidence. Like, I really think that there's going to be an enormous amount of wisdom and pride, and you're going to feel much more mature about how you're approaching emotional issues. You're going to honor your emotions, and you're going to allow them to influence you and help you make decisions and communicate them, but it's not going to be in a way that they rule you, where you burst out and lash out at someone. You're going to take a much more mature approach to expressing how you feel. And what this does is it you lose you're not so afraid of, I don't know if that's the right word. You're more willing to take risks, and I don't mean risks as I'm going bungee jumping and I don't know if the bungee cord is short enough, or you know what I mean? Like, these aren't like this isn't recklessness. This is doing something even though you're afraid of it, because you're going to start gaining so much confidence about how you're able to manage your own emotions, and you're going to be able to count on yourself that when you are in emotionally charged situations, you're able to still keep a clear head and communicate in a very productive, constructive manner. And so you're going to be more willing to put yourself out there, or allow yourself to be in situations that maybe you would have otherwise avoided because they were just too potentially upsetting, or you were afraid that it wouldn't go well because of how other people would react. You're starting to realize that as long as on your side you have good intentions, you're coming from a good place, how other people react is not your problem. And that's really hard, is to have a hard conversation, and then if the other person doesn't take it well, to think, oh, I shouldn't have said anything, and worry about it. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. You're going to be like, I approached that really well. I am allowed to have my feelings and convey them, and the fact that they took them that way, well, you know what? Maybe that's a really good sign that this person is not someone you want in your life. And if it's a work situation, yes, you have to figure out a way to deal with it, but you just have to sort of keep that in mind. So some overall outcome. Yes, here's the wisdom I was talking about. There's going to be an enormous amount, a huge spiritual lesson, and a lot of wisdom is going to be gained from this situation going forward. So whenever sort of these major arcanas come up, it's like you're going to be more open to taking some quote unquote risks, and you're going to look back and reflect and say, that situation was I learned so much from it. And you can now take that wisdom forward with you into all your new adventures and life experiences. Wow, and the Emperor. Really my God, these are like incredibly powerful cards. And here you are being the leader in your own life. You're no longer making choices trying to please other people. You're making choices that are very thoughtful. You're weighing all the decisions, but in the end, you're the one who has to live with the consequences of the choices and the actions you take. So you're going to make the decision that is best for you in the setting of your loved ones and the situation. It's going to be a very balanced, thoughtful decision, but in the end, you can't please everyone, and you need to do what's best so that you can sleep at night and that you feel good about how you handled the situation, regardless of what other people think. So, no longer living your life for others' approval, because even if you do live your life for others' approval, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And then you've been living your life in an, you haven't been living authentically. You haven't been living for you. You need to make decisions that are best for your life, and because you're going to live with those consequences for the rest of your life. So that's, I think, a lot of the wisdom that's going to be gained from this week. So thank you so much for joining me. Bye.